All right, guys, so this video is going to be long. Watch it. It has to do with my move and not where I went, but where I am going personally. And I think that I did the right thing because the situation's out of my control. And even though I had a good relationship with the people that I work for, ultimately I can't make them do anything, and I wasn't going to be disrespectful or bend anybody's arm. At the end of the day, I just wanted one thing, and it was very simple. It was very basic, and it wasn't like even personal. It was for the shop. So I'm not leaving as a bitter tech, and I'm not bad mouthing who I worked for because they were good to me, and there'll be details in the video, but it affects you if you work in the trades, and I kind of want to share it because I know probably a lot of the people out there that follow probably also work in the trades, and this probably will apply to you, as I assume that everybody's gone through growing pains, whether it be transitional between your apprentice years, journeyman years, or like you've hit your professional like plateau, which I wouldn't say I'm hitting that, but after almost 20 years in the industry, I think I've hit a certain point where I can kind of just cruise it. I got good experience. I am still growing. I'm still retaining information, but I don't need to work with the level of hunger that I used to. So that has something to do with it as well. Letting somebody else kind of take over and just run the show and just be there to do what you're supposed to do. So on that note, watch what's ahead. All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass. And in this video, I'm going to kind of talk about my change. I changed shops about 3 weeks ago. And just a situation that was, I guess, a little out of my control, but there's a lot of circumstances at play. And as I'm sure I kind of mentioned this, and I've kind of mentioned it in other videos, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of people who follow me and watch who probably work like blue-collar jobs, whether you're a pipe fitter, plumber, mechanic, you name it. You have to work with other people. You're part of a crew, you're part of a team. To what extent do you put up with somebody constantly just kind of curveballing your work or benching it? And that's kind of what it came down to me. I was the A-Tech, even though I don't like shop designations because they just lead to unfair biasness in the shop. I did all of the structural work. I would say about 75 to 85 or 80% of the bigger heavy hits I did. And that's not stretching it. I think that's pretty fair to say. But a lot of that work the painter would put off because it took longer, it didn't pay as much, or he didn't like his sheets. So my work would get put off. And about a year ago, I did and this is kind of where it all started, because I had left for a little bit because there were some unsavory people there. And things were just boiling over to the point where I was only going to make things worse if I didn't leave. And I did. And it worked out because I ended up going back. And when I went back, I came back to like open arms and a little bit of excitement. And then things kind of changed after about a year. And ultimately, I really don't know what the root cause of it is, but essentially what it comes down to is my work was being put off, and I was constantly putting cars together on the 11th hour. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but when you have big jobs with a lot of assembly and you still have to shake out certain things, you kind of want a little window at least. And recently there was a job where that actually happened, and it was the straw that just kind of broke the camel's back, and maybe somebody got their way, but to be honest with you, I'm better off for quite a few reasons, and I hope that things continue to be fruitful and just moving forward, just everything kind of falls into place as it has, faster than I thought. First and foremost, the shop that I'm working for is just a little smaller. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's bigger, or I wouldn't say that it's like, it's quite sizable actually, because we have like, it comes down to like 4 rows. The one row pretty much holds 2 cars. My row holds 2 cars, as far as like side to side, not individual cars, because I can fit about 6 or 7 cars on my side. There could be 6 or 7 cars on the other side, and the porters are behind us. And then the other side holds like 3 or 4 cars for the other tech. And there is like A, B, and C techs, and the lower tech works on the one row with the least amount of cars that you can fit in there, but he fills it up. And then the other tech, who does like the medium stuff, he has a medium duty frame machine. I have the bigger frame machine. And I haven't quite gotten into the structural work because they one, don't want to throw me in the fire. 2, they don't want to overload me and then be in a situation where somebody else has to clean up my mess, which I've been stuck in that situation many, many, many times, because where I was at, there was a bad tendency to just go through techs. There was many a times where I was told, man, availability is the best ability, and it's not always true. I ended up cleaning a lot of messes, and actually when I came back, I got tossed right into the fire of cleaning up a ginormous mess. But that's not saying that it's a bad shop. I knew the shop. There was a situation, and I knew how to work the frame machine and get what I needed out of it to make that car square again. And it got screwed up and it needed to go. And that was like the first job I did. But ultimately, I did a lot of growing at that shop. I would have been there 11 years had I stayed a little longer, even with my break. But I decided to leave because I got tired of it. I got tired of, I don't know if there's a level of passiveness or maybe lack of communication, but I certainly brought up the point and the issue many, many times. And if my work was being put off, all I needed to know was, hey, your work is being put off. At least then I got an excuse as to why it's going to take me longer to put the car together, or it's just going to take longer to get done and we're going to blow through the date, and that's it. But nothing was ever explained to me, which at this new shop already very quickly that was explained to me, because one of the guys is going on vacation, and they came up and said, hey, this guy's got a few jobs, and whatever he's got getting done, has to get painted. It takes priority. They didn't give him an easy week before going on vacation. They still gave him regular work, but he had to get his stuff out. And I had a couple of bigger jobs, and I kind of worked on them, and now they're kind of like ready for paint. So again, I was warned and I was told that this is going to happen, and because he's going on vacation, and I was cool with that because they were being transparent about it and it was understood. So whatever. And I also have to say that you want to talk about bridging the gap generation wise. The painter there is 26 years old. He's 10 years younger than me. But that dude is driven as hell. He is there at like 5:30 in the morning. I usually roll in about 7, about an hour early. That dude's already pulling. By the time I show up, he's already pulling out one car out of the booth, pulling in his next one. He's a good painter, and he's fast. And not only is he impressive, but working with a group of people where everyone busts their ass, you can look around and there's movement. It goes a long way for shop morale and just personally like how I feel about work, that I work with a bunch of people that just want to work, and they understand the responsibility, and they don't, they come around and they kind of want to know where you're at with cars. And usually my planning is on par because, again, at the old place we were given a lot of lead, and by lead I mean we were given a lot of leeway as in what we could do, and we were trusted to fit the cars in and get everything done. Ooh, my fuel drum just popped. So we were given a lot of that. And going into this new place, that just observational wise, this is my third week, pretty much, and everyone there, uh, everyone there is pretty cool. Just everybody kind of gets along. All the guys say, when somebody walks in, they say good morning to people, and everybody's like fist bumping, morning, whatever. Which that is pretty cool. Everybody has the balls to say, hey, how you doing? Or they genuinely want to work with you. I've already had a couple of situations where the techs were asking me questions about certain things, and I'm already being kind of trusted as a good source of information. So, yeah. No, I mean, we made a change. I just got tired of the painter being a little bitch and just not wanting to work or do whatever the fuck he wanted. And either somebody got their way or this guy really just had it out for whatever reason. And it's sad because we were friends, known him for a long time. And I say we're friends because at some point you cross a certain threshold where you know what you're doing, you're affecting somebody. And that's kind of the coward's way to do things. I was raised to be a man and show up to work and you do your fucking job. You don't bitch about it, you just do it. And when I can't get my job done, then it becomes an issue. Then I'm going to say something and then it's on somebody else to take care of that. But I can't make somebody fire somebody just because they're not, I don't know, painting my work. I don't see it as favoritism. I think it's like you have to follow a certain procedure, and there was no like push to get my stuff done. And I just, again, somebody either got their way or what they wanted. And you know what? I'm not sour about it in the least bit because I am way better off in this situation. And I hope it works. And I hope that I'm not speaking too soon. So success is not guaranteed. But as a technician, or even as a tradesman, I know that there's a lot of moving around, whether you work in construction or a pipe fitter. I know my brother-in-law is a pipe fitter, and he certainly has moved around from outfit to outfit. And it's just one of those things where you get to a certain point, you don't want to put up with it, and I made the move. And I also have learned that there's a little bit of growth in me yet, especially out in the shop as far as, I wouldn't say attitude, but as far as reeling it back. And I don't have to put myself in a position where they constantly want me to be X, Y, and Z. Like, I'll let them figure that out. I'm not going to put all my cards on the table. And, and they told me, like, we want to make sure that you can walk the walk and you're just not talking the talk. And that is admirable because every single place I've ever gone to, they just kind of threw me in the fire. And then, like I can tell you, when I left the dealership, I definitely plowed through a just fucking mountain of work in a couple of months. They were backlogged and I blew through it. And I was only one tech. There was only one painter, one prepper. We got a lot done. And we did that. And I started to see some things like in-house biting, taking work from other sister dealerships and charging them regular rate, and knowing that that was going to bite them in the ass. And then there was some shady stuff going on. And as a tech, I was going to be the first person to be thrown under the bus. So I decided to leave because I kind of saw the writing on the wall and I wasn't comfortable in that situation. And there was a couple of issues where sheets weren't adding up, and there was parts buildup kind of around us in the rafters. And then I realized, hey, this is for a car that it was written for repair. Why do we have a part? So you guys can be the judge of what was going on there. And then the other shop I worked at, I was at like 7 months, and I gave it an honest shot. Just they didn't bring in enough work. They played the small shop, big numbers game where they looked really good on paper, but they were only taking in a certain amount of work to maintain those numbers. And unfortunately, what they were paying me was falling short based off of my production. And then when there was a sit down with the actual owner and the manager and and individual techs, well, I'm the one who said, hey, um, I'm not going to be told that I'm not doing enough, and or borderline owe you something, because we all had guarantees, and they're like, we're not going to pay over the guarantee until we meet this deficit. And I took in a bunch of my payroll paperwork from ADP that I called and said, can you email this to me, please? And I gave them proof, like, look, this is on your end, not my end. This is what I can do. But I've also learned that every shop works different, and this is where reeling it back, kind of like, all right, I got to kind of figure this shop out. And my hours have been pretty good. The fact that I've already stabilized within 2 weeks, and I'm steadily kind of growing into it, and I already have a fair amount of overlap, tells me that they run a really tight ship there, and it's very profitable. And moving forward, hopefully things continue to be fruitful, and it will just, it seems like attitudes are all there as far as like everybody. I certainly, I try to communicate and be social with everybody, and just kind of, I be a little bit of a social butterfly to kind of get along with everybody. And ultimately I don't have like much of an ego in the shop, because if somebody wants to come in and school me, go for it. I'm not against it. I've learned a lot over the years just from visual learning, watching people. And the one guy likes to come over and talk to me and see what I got going on. And he asks me about what I'm working on, and that's actually kind of how I learned. So that's kind of like refreshing too, that somebody steps out of their way to kind of see what you got going on, because they want to learn as well. And that, again, I'm definitely in a shop where cross training is embraced, and people that were out on the floor are now doing paperwork for the body end of the shop because of their experience in the shop. So there's a lot of that going on, and that's actually really, really cool. And the fact that the growth isn't just for the company, it's for the techs as well. Just from like my first, couple weeks there experience-wise, it tells you a lot. Now, a lot of people would call it the honeymoon phase, and they've even told me like, we're just feeling you out now, where we haven't really cranked up we haven't turned up the wick. But going from the shop where I was at, where it was, 2 buildings on 2 acres, that could turn chaotic real fast. And it always was, but it was good. But also it became the excuse that, like, I would have a shit ton of work and crank out 140 flag hours, and that was the excuse. You're making money, but that's not what it's about. I certainly didn't need it. My threshold is very low. So any extra money is for like this and saving up for the future, and and that's all circumstantial because of when I bought my house, the risk I took. And yeah, I was house poor for like 3 years. I wasn't able to do this. So between 2012 and 2015, we didn't do any racing, and it actually just popped up on my Facebook memories. So I think I might put that video in the bio down there, and you guys can watch what the car was doing 10 years ago. And so for 3 years, we weren't able to race. I was kind of just working on the car. I was lucky if I had, at the very beginning, I was lucky if I had like $20 at the end of the month. My ex kind of blew a hole in my wallet because she overspent all the time. But neither here nor there. The whole point is that as a technician, we move on. But what are reasons why you guys have moved on, or you've chosen to step out of the shop? I know the first time I left my shop was because of shop drama, and it became very volatile, and it became I was pissed off. And then when I came back with a different perspective, and I let the situation go on for a while until I kind of had a reason to say, hey man, this is why I'm leaving. I've kind of put up with it. I've been nice about it. I've tried every approach I possibly can, and I just got tired of it. And this situation, the shop where I'm at, just kind of landed in my lap. I wasn't necessarily looking. I was looking for the right opportunity, and I saw it, and I got a call like that night, after hours. And like the following day, I was out there talking to them, and then the rest is history. I got my toolbox out of the shop within 2 weeks, got my job done, and I was out. And, you know, it's bittersweet because I consider my boss a friend, but I know that professionally there's a divide, and I don't know I think in the past, the way I left, it left a lot of unknowns, and hopefully this time around, you know, we can. I don't know. I worked on all his classic cars. I built engines for him. I built an engine for his Mustang. Built an engine for his Impala. Did a bunch of work to all the cars that he had, and you know, it was always on their end. They took care of me pretty damn good, and you know, living 2 blocks away, I'm like, well, I can take a little bit of a hit and pay. I'm 2 blocks away. I have full access to the shop. I keep my trailer there, so that goes a long way. And I'm like, you know, I can do this. When I actually went back, I took a hit from my flag rate out in the wild, right? And so, but it was because of that give and take, and I was being respectful. I wasn't being an opportunist, and you know, I'm just like, yeah, just bring me back on the old rate, same things as before, and we'll call it good. And I never complained about my pay. I sometimes would complain about the workload because I got a lot of the bigger work, and sometimes it becomes a bit much. But when somebody plans properly, there's no reason why you're going to have 6 or 7 jobs, big jobs, sitting around. And that's what's become clearly very evident to me recently, is that they plan ahead a lot, and they want to make sure that everybody's getting their job done, making what they need to make, not only for themselves but for the shop, but also in terms of you know, you're not overwhelmed. And they went without a body tech for 2 months, and when I went in there, it kind of showed. You know, I've been in a situation where I worked in the shop for 9 months solo, pretty much, with like 0.5 helpers, and it was brutal. It was brutal. I did a whole 9 months of that, and as a body man, that's a big burden. The pressure was just on because I'm the type of person that likes to get work done. But I don't think I was ever asked or yelled at. I think there was one situation early on where we were asked to step it up a bit, and me and the other body guy looked at each other and we're ready to walk the fuck out. And that was actually quite comedic. But it was also a growing pain. Looking back, you know, we had just acquired the second shop, and there was a lot of growth, and we were figuring out, I guess, stuff. And as a shop owner, you see more space, you want to fill it. And we were just a little overwhelmed. But ultimately, it is what it is. I'm not complaining. I had a good ride there, and I think I think for what it's worth, that I did a lot of really good work there, and did a lot of growing there, and they pushed me. But I think it's, you know, I also was given the ability to have a bunch of space and a lot of freedom to figure things out. I also, especially in the last couple of years, I've learned to be more efficient as a technician, buying certain tools, doing ways a certain way, and just really working easier versus just plowing through work like I would in the past, because I've been doing it almost 20 years, and it's starting to kind of catch up with me a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I've been scraping and working on the side of the house the last 2 days, and I'm sore climbing up and down the ladder. So today I'm just chilling because I got to work, and you know, driving the olds and stuff. That's been fun, and it's been a while since I just had the notion to get in this car and drive, and it's nice. Because driving this car is not like I am depressed, so I'm gonna get my throttle therapy. And no, driving in this car is like a full focus job. But once you get out and you're done, it's like, man, that was fun. And I forgot how fun it is to drive this car on the street. But there's also a reason why I probably shouldn't drive it on the street. You know, all gas, no brakes, right? So I hope you guys stuck around long enough for this. It's a subject that I don't know many are willing to talk about. It's personal, but it's also relatable because a lot of guys out there work trades. But it's not just as a body guy, as a frame tech. I think it applies to a lot of people. So let me know what's the most one ridiculous reason you left the shop for, whether it be personal or them pushing you. And like, how long were you at a shop for? I know my time frame in a body shop is kind of almost uncommon and unknown. Of a lot of guys don't stick around that long. 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, like that's seen as a lifetime. So, with that being said, I'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Cutlass. And hopefully I put the words together right to where it didn't seem like I was bashing who I worked for. I couldn't change the situation, and it was out of my personal control. So I, left. And so far it's working out. Can't complain. We're going to take it day by day. We're going to be a chameleon, adapt.